everybody, it's Jane Johnston with the Bar Hill Group at Remax Camosun. Welcome to the Victoria Real Estate Show. I'm here with...
Hey everybody, it's Andrew Plank with Royal LePage and the Vibe Real Estate Group. And it's wonderful to see you all. Hello, everyone.
Hello, how's it going?
Hello. Good, yeah. It's beautiful out there, feeling like summertime's out there, and it's, we're able to go to the beaches. I was out paddleboarding with some friends the other day and super calm on the water. And yeah, it's just finally feeling like I've got some time to get out and not do work stuff and do a little bit of play. But it's been also super busy lately. So it's that balancing act between, look at the weather's really nice and I've got to be up till 11 o'clock working.
Last night I took my dog for a walk. I love having the late sunshine during the day. Yeah. And there were people out with towels walking down to the beach and like, oh,
it's so funny because in Victoria, the days are doubled in the summer. We just have so much more daylight, so much more runway for doing stuff that, you can, and it's just so wonderful to be able to, I remember the days when I was, working a 9-to-5 job, and in the summertime you'd get off work and we'd drive out to Durant's Lake or Thetis Lake and just hop in the water for the evening and just cool off on those really, really hot days.
Yeah, I'm showing a property tonight and I'm like, can you meet me at 7? Whereas in the summer or in the winter, it would be totally dark.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, let's get to the stats. I'm sure everybody wants to know what's going on.
Let's find out what's happening in Victoria real estate. It's very exciting stuff.
I'm getting a bit of feedback, just so you know, on your thing.
All right.
Anyway, it's all good. Okay, so we're 6 months in. It's July 6th, and we're going to do a market update and just maybe talk about how we're feeling things are going. I found the numbers interesting, and they kind of jive with what I've been feeling has been going on with my clients. So go ahead, start us off.
Okay, so for the month of June, so here we are on July 6th, but we're going to do the June stats because we're doing our month-end wrap-up. We've got the month of June. For the full month of June 2023, we had 705 unconditional sales. Compare that to 612 from the year before. We had 1,297 new listings come online that compare that to 1,380 last June. And actively, we had 2,342 peak sales. And compare that to 2,059 in June 2022. So our inventory is a little higher than last year. New listings are a little lower than last year. Sales are up from last year.
Right, but I was comparing it to April, and we're pretty consistent. So that's interesting.
Yeah, and then our monthly stats from the boards, are telling us that we're, the month from going from May to June. We're up over last year, but we're down over last month.
May was pretty big. Okay, so for the last 7 days, we've had 244 new listings, 145 pending. So that's an interesting list to sale ratio there. Price decreases at 101. Do you remember when price decreases were like 2 and 12?
Yeah. Yep.
Price
Those were the days. I remember that.
Price increases at 5, back on market at 2, and sold 367. It was crazy moving last week. And, it's interesting. I was talking to another realtor. She was doing all these closings on Friday. And I said, I made a decision. I'm not going to subject my clients to that pain. So we're doing it either before or after July 1st because it's a popular day to move.
Yeah. And, it's always good to counsel clients on this. Closing end of the month is when a lot of people end up with their closings. And that means you are fighting to find a competent lawyer that's able. There's a lot of great lawyers out there, but they can be really busy at that time of year. Their staff is full and they may not have space to accommodate you. And then of course, movers and all of that. It's just such a crunch time. So if you can put it on either side of that, you're going to be a little bit, give a little more breathing room to everyone involved, including yourself.
And just the moving trucks, it's just crazy. I find anyway.
Yeah. So 64 expired. I think we stopped on the sold there, but we had 64 properties expired. Again, that's a number that we we always see expired properties, even in the most crazy, insane, bonkers market where sellers market and everything goes, except not everything does, because there's still people. There's always that person out there who just does not listen to reason, or is looking for something that's just the market will not pick up in terms of their
Yeah,
pricing.
exactly. And that's a factor of the seller being out of touch, I find, with the market, or maybe being optimistic and then not coming down with the market when it's decreasing, because we'll see what's happening shortly.
You know what?
Okay, so
And I had this sort of a little imaginary fantasy thought the other day when I was paddleboarding at Willows Beach and coming back and, pulling the paddle board up onto the beach at Esplanade, where there's some beautiful water, properties overlooking the ocean there. And then I saw 2 for sale signs, and I started thinking, if I was an owner of one of those properties, I mean, you don't want nuisance showings and stuff, but there's always someone who's going to come along and say, I want that, and I have the money and I'll pay it. And they're going to pay maybe a ridiculous amount of money for it if they really truly have that much money. I mean, so there are people out there that are just fishing and long-term saying, I will sell if somebody comes along and brings me my price. I realize it's not to meet the market. I realize that no normal mere mortal is going to pay this price, but I've got something special here. And when somebody comes along, if they want it, then I can sell off and go somewhere else. And
I do find that with waterfront properties,
Yeah.
because it's an emotional purchase, and
Yeah.
you'll see that our waterfront properties this month have gone up, but we haven't had a lot of sales, so it's
No.
not really a valid number. But
you have to look at Victoria waterfront properties on, like, normally when we are looking at pricing of properties, we're going to look at what's sold in the area, what's sold in recent times. When you're looking at waterfront or really high-end properties, you're going to look more globally and see what the global markets are doing for real estate.
yeah, exactly. Okay, so this is over the past 2 years, total active MLS listings. You can see in June 2021 we were at 1,400. At June 2022 we were just over 2,000, and we dipped seasonally, which is normal in December, and then we've recovered. We're just under 2,400. I would say that's healthy. There's definitely a little more choice, and you see that it's affecting price a bit.
Yes. Yep. The more listings there are, the more there are to choose from. We're still actually, I mean, this scale doesn't really show you what the norm is, like what we've seen in, what the 10-year average is, but we're still kind of low in terms of inventory. We've seen times where the inventory has been up over 3,500, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When we started.
Yeah. So this is not abnormal. This is actually, even though this is a trending up going up for more inventory, this is actually a good thing for most people.
And I just wanted to say, the June stats actually give you a historical analysis of each area over time, but I thought I didn't want to elongate our stats. But if you want to contact Andrew or myself about what's going on in your area over time, we can definitely provide you with that information. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so this is the bars are the number of listings per month, and the line graph is the sales for that same month. And so you can see and as we've always said, the winter December is always the lowest for both. This and there always follows sort of a trend of up into the spring and then a down pattern and then maybe a bump in the fall. So this year we've had pretty strong rise in sales, pretty consistently up through to May, and then into June we actually did have a fall in the number of sales. The actual inventory was a little bit all over the place in terms of new listings coming on. A little less in June than there were in May. I kind of feel like July we're going to have probably a bit of, I feel like we're going to have a lot of listings coming on.
So to me, actually, what this does is it kind of confirms what I was feeling, that we were about 2 months behind in how the market was doing in Victoria. And I can see, because those rate increases in Canada anyway really caused a hesitation of the market. And so whereas normally we would have seen an increase in sales steadily up until May, It's really shifted. So a lot of people weren't putting their houses on the market because either they're tied into a great mortgage, and here in Canada, I'm just saying this because one of our viewers is usually from the US. Here in Canada, you tie into a mortgage for on average about 5 years. And then people are still within that scope. And so some of them have great interest rates. I met with a client yesterday as an interest rate of 1.65. So why sell?
Yeah. Well, if you can sell and buy again and port your mortgage, you're going to be okay. But if you're selling just to sell and move on somewhere else, and then rebuy at some point later and have to get a new mortgage approval, because you need to have a tight timeline between selling and buying to port your mortgage.
She's going to have to port her mortgage and increase it. So it's going to cost money.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Right.
Yeah. Interesting though, the list to sale ratio to me, only once over the last few months has it gone over 50%, and that's in April.
Yeah, by the looks of it. Yeah. And that's that, but that makes sense again, because the buyers are really active. I call it, the spring, everybody's feeling fresh and alive, and coming out of the woodland creatures are coming out, and the buds are on the trees, and everyone is thinking, what's that?
You're so romantic.
Well, it's also just the way it is. I think we humans are tuned to, all animals are tuned to kind of start to come out of that torpid winter blues and start to look around, and I call it mating season for houses, because that's what's happening. I think it's time of change.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, well, it goes up, it goes down, it goes up again, it goes around. up in February, then there's this long slide down. It looks really fun. This was a water slide. You could have a lot of fun with that from February, March, April 2022, May, June 2022. This is the list to sales ratio. This is actually the ratio of those numbers we were looking at in that past slide. So where you were saying it got up above 50% was in May, and then it's just dropped down again, May 2023, and then it's just dropped down below 50%. So
yeah,
we're, these can bounce around a bit. And as you could see, let's say from September 2022 to November 2022, or more like August 2022 to January 2022, you could kind of imagine that as a straighter line on average, but it does bounce around a bit. So when I'm looking at our current bounce down, but there was a pretty standard trajectory up, I kind of feel like our next month might be a little bit of a bump up if we're going to kind of try to more project lines instead of, you hear what I'm saying? And what I'm saying too is that I'm experiencing my own personal business, a lot of buyers out there, and people who are active, and a lot of sellers who are looking to get going. So I feel like we're going to have a more active summer.
It feels very busy to me.
Yeah, exactly. It feels busier than it would for a normal summer. And so that's why intuitively I feel that, regardless of what the stats say.
Also, it feels like it's if you're priced right, you're going to get good activity. That's what that's saying, because we're in a bit of a seller's market, just a bit on when you get above 30%. So
yeah,
you're going to have a lot of activity. You're going to have some competition. Depends on whether or not you price your house well.
I'm having, and it's really a struggle. I've got a number of listings right now that are, I've got listings that you list and they sell right away. And one in particular, recently I was like, oh, I'm surprised to get an offer, because it just felt like we were maybe a little on the higher side. But then others that I think are really well priced, and we're not getting the activity that I would have expected. Hey everybody, I've got a great deal on a downtown condo right now. It's, $450,000 for a 1-bedroom condo with parking, and it's like for all condos under 450,000 right now. It's the largest available for sale. It's a newer building. It's the third best priced when you look at what was it, the dollars per square foot, and that's compared to just a couple in the anyway. It's an amazing deal, and we're getting like a showing every few days. And
what's the address?
It's at 1070. I think it's 1070 Johnston. It's the Mondrian building.
Okay.
Yeah.
I do find, like, for instance, I just had that listing in Alford.
Yeah.
And the last two listings sold for $380. We listed at $399 and we had 5 offers.
Right. And I had people calling me about your property on Alford, because I had a client buy in Alford recently. And so people were asking me about it because they were trying. I mean, that's a funny building because it's got the special assessment at some point coming and nobody knows the price point. But yeah. Yeah. And then I've got a listing. We just dropped price very significantly, and we're starting to get some activity and showings. But then it's a funny kind of market. And I don't know if you find this, Jane, but one of the feedbacks we recently got, this house has been so updated inside and out, almost everything done. One thing that wasn't done was the windows. That's the one thing the buyers complained about. I'm like,
well, it's the one thing they can see, I find.
Like, yeah, they find that, oh, we're going to have to pay for new windows. Yeah, but this property has just been dramatically reduced. It's a great price as it is, and they're complaining about, like, you're looking at an older home. You're not going to find a perfect home, but the more perfect it is, I think the more people find that when there's something that's a little out of tune, I guess it seems louder.
To me, that says that the buyer's not ready to purchase.
Perhaps.
They say stuff like that.
Perhaps.
What's the address?
For that one, it's 746 Front Street. It's a great home. And you know what? When I hear that, I sometimes think, and I've had this happen many times, when people are asking questions that they are finding fault with a property, it's because they're also really wanting to find a reason to buy it. And they're kind of maybe trying to knock the agent down a little bit, or find some ways to diminish it a bit so they can feel like there's a reason to give them some negotiating standpoint. But I don't feel it. But it does strike me that there's interest if someone starts actually putting the time and energy into feeling like, well, it would have to do this, it would have to do that, it would have to do this. Don't you find?
I'm just looking at it. It looks really good.
Yeah. Yeah. Check it out, folks.
And it's in Vic West, people.
Mm-hmm. Great home. Great area.
Okay. All right. So 2 years ago, our average price, so this is all areas, including Gulf Islands, between 1.2 and 1.25. We hit our max there in April of 2022. I think this is based on sales, because we actually hit our max in list to sale ratio in March, just over 1.4. And then if we're going to look at this over time, we're going to see actually probably a very straight line. So to me, we've been trending at 1.2 for the past year.
It's felt like we've been at 1.2 forever. And then we had that big ramp up in 2021. But, around 1.2 it seems like that's what do they talk about in stocks? There's like there's a threshold. There's a psychological threshold, and it used to be $1 million. Remember back in the day when the $1 million house was a lot of money? And obviously, I don't want to make light of this. Any money is a lot of money when you're buying a home. It's a lot of money you're putting out. But the $1 million was a psychological threshold. It got surpassed, and then 1.2 seems to be the new one.
$1 million.
$1.2 million. Doesn't roll off the tongue the same way. Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. Condo.
Okay, so it went up, it went down, it went up, it down. What do you want me to say? It got a little jaggly there. 2021 was a pretty even curve. And 2022 it got pretty jaggly, but it's been on a relatively upward trend for pricing. And we are currently at around 665,000 on the average for an condo in the Greater Victoria area.
Just remember, this is comparing like studio 1 and 2 bedrooms. So The price can vary depending on what you're looking at.
And the penthouse 3-bedroom unit on the top, like it's the average of them all.
Yep. So if you want more information about what's happening in your building, contact us.
We can run pretty granular search results, and these are the overall board stats, but we can access and do a more granular search result for your own particular market. But it does get more jagged with less data.
So average townhomes, and I will say there's been an uptick in nice townhomes lately coming on the market, which is nice to see. So this is where we're coming from. There's some challenging townhouses out there, which are not so nice. And this is usually a result of the homeowners not contributing to their contingency fund and not keeping up. Sometimes it's just a case of, demographics.
Apathy. Yeah. Well, demographic for sure. I mean, if you've got a lot of retirees or folks who have bought a place because it's a better price point and they didn't have the income for a really expensive home. No, but not everybody everybody is cost conscious, but you can get into this circle of once you're in and then not having the money to keep it up, and then your values go down. So you kind of get stuck there when the majority of the owners don't want to do the upkeep that's required.
Yeah.
On the other side of that, I went through a condo. It's a newer building on Haywood, right on Beacon Hill Park. It was a 1,000 square foot condo. Guess what the strata fee was on this? This is built in the last 5 years.
I don't know.
I think it's built in the last 5 to 10 years. 5, I think. $750 a month.
Wow.
I don't understand that. I was looking at it saying, wait, why is this so high? Because still under warranty. Certainly putting money towards contingency is smart, but includes hot water, sure, but $750 a month seems extravagantly high.
Is that 986 strata? 986?
Yeah, I think that's the one.
Okay, yeah. Well, the price point of those is high too. So I don't know. I find it's a psychology of the owners. Mm-hmm. So sometimes, like 21 Dallas Road, Shoal Point, they all have really high strata fees, and they have a ton of money in their contingency fund, but they also spend it all the time.
Yeah, and they're spending it on their space. And that's everyone's prerogative if you want it and you want to do that. It goes to tell you that in what we were talking about, demographic and all, definitely look at who the other owners are when you're buying into a condo. I think of it like a democratic cruise ship where you're on this cruise ship, but everybody gets to vote on which direction you're going to go and what the destination is. And so when it comes to spending the money and how it's spent, some people say, I don't want to spend any money. And some people say, like, let's go to the most expensive place we can possibly go. And unless everybody's going to go in the same direction, you're not going to get anywhere.
So I'm just looking to see the strata fees. They took a jump really in 2020. That's when they started to really increase.
In general, they did too as well. I mean, partly because of insurance. Problems with getting insurance, and I think I've seen a lot of strata fees going up more, also as people are doing more depreciation reports.
But as people are starting to follow them.
Yeah, I mean at 600, I think that's high, but that's within the realm of reasonable. But there's other condos that you and I have both shown condos that same size where the strata fee is $325 a month. And if you know to build that.
I always tell people it's a balance. It's interesting though. I remember selling a condo at 2829 Arbutus, and this is probably a decade ago, and their strata fees were $600. Everyone was complaining. Yeah. And I also remember
beautiful grounds. There's always a gardener there.
Yeah, and they have a pool, and it's nice, but it's kind of For somebody coming from Toronto, it's not culture shock. For someone coming from Victoria, it is.
Right. Right.
Okay, but let's just do the stats. So we were around 700. We peaked in April of 2022, around 950. And now we're back down just below 850. So this is average row townhomes across Victoria. Okay. Do you want me to do this one? I like this one.
You like this one. You go for it.
Okay, single family Greater Victoria benchmark price for June 2023 was 1.173. Benchmark in May was 1.156, and that is a change of 1.4% up from last month and down 6.9% from last year. In the core, we're at 1.3. That's compared to 1.297, and that is up 1% from last month and down 7% from 2022. West Shore, we're at $1,066,000, and that is up from $1,042,000 in May of 2023. That's a 2.3% increase, but we're down 4.2% over last year. And in the peninsula for single family homes, it's at 1.247. That is up from 1.222 in May of 2023 by 2.1%, but down 7.4% from last year. So we're seeing fairly steady prices, just a little bit of an increase from last month, but down overall from last year. Do you want to do the next one?
Sure. So we've got condos in Greater Victoria, the average benchmark price. Well, the benchmark price, we're not doing the averages here. This is the home price index. That was $572,700 for June 2023, compared to $570,000 from last month, compared to $616,900 from last year. So that's a 0.5% change over last month, up, and a 7.2% change down over last year. We had in the core 573,800 as the benchmark price. That's compared to 569,300 last month, and compared again to 615,200 last year. So 0.8% change up over last month and 6.7% down. West Shore condos, 548,900 benchmark price. Compare that to 556,800 from May. So, and then compared to 603,100 from last year. So these are both down for West Shore. This is the only one. No, there's a few others down later we'll see, but this is one of the first one we've seen so far that has a change of a price down over last month, 1.4% drop, and a price over last year's 9% drop. So this is a pretty significant drop. For the apartment units dropped the most of anything we're seeing over last year, and even over last month they were dropping. Interesting stuff. Anyway, moving on. Peninsula, 611,000 is the benchmark. Last month was 604,600. Last year, 663,300. So that's a 1.1% increase over last month and a 7.9% decrease over last year.
Okay, and row townhouses, the benchmark for 2023 was 775,800. That's compared to 777 in May of 2023 and down from 846,600 in 2022. So it's a decrease of 0.2% from last month and 7.7% from last year. Row townhouses in the core are at 837,900. That is compared to 846,600 last month and way down from last year at 901,500 by 7.1%, and month over month, a decrease of 1%. West Shore, we're at 705,600. That's compared to 707,100, and that is a decrease of 0.2% over last year, where the price was 779,900, and over last month, and 9.5% over last year. And I think this has to do a lot with the condos in Colwood. Row townhouses, 775,000 in the peninsula. That is up from 763,300 last month and down from 826,200 in June of 2022. So we're up 1.5% month over month, but we're down 6.2% year over year.
So what's interesting I'm seeing here, so when we look at single families in the West Shore, we're down 4.2% over last year. That's the least we've been down from any of these other metrics. In other words, it's all down over last year, but the least amount down was single family homes in the West Shore. But when you look at the most amount of change current to last year, that's in the West Shore as well. That's the condos and apartment buildings, townhouses and apartment buildings, condos, at 9% and 9.5%.
Yeah, and I think it has to do with supply and demand. So there's been a lot of building in the West Shore. So that's one of the issues. There's also been sort of high-end townhouses on the West Shore, which have not done so well. Those, I'm not going to mention where, but yeah, so part of it is determining where the market is. And sometimes what happens is there's demand and then there's the building, and they're not corresponding with happening at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, you buy the land, you go get the permits, you get the loans, you start the development, you sell the units and do pre-sales, and you finally break ground. And then there's a big timeline between when we're trying to get things together and when you're actually out to market. And there's a lot of room for error and shift. And the developers are hoping for it to be in their favor, but every once in a while it goes the other direction. And that's why we used to see it. We've seen a lot of big holes in the ground in Colwood in the last decade, and up on Bear Mountain, that back from some of the other housing booms where they were a little late to the game.
Yeah, and also the thing to look at here is what the ratio is between single family homes, townhomes, and condos. So price point, when townhomes start getting up around the price of houses, and you're paying for a special assessment, or you're paying a big strata fee, then something's going to be out of whack. There's going to be a readjustment there. I think that's what happened. Because remember, a lot of people also swung from condos to townhouses and houses during COVID. And now I think they're swinging back, baby.
They're swinging back. I mean, when you were housebound, you were kind of wanting more space inside to roam around and have your space. And now that there's more room to be outside and people are back to being active again, you're saying, why am I paying for all this extra space? Why am I cleaning this extra space? I'm like, yeah, let's downsize again.
Okay. You know what I'm missing is the needs and wants. So tell me what your needs and wants are.
I really want a rancher townhouse. And we're looking up to, I'd say, 850 and possibly a little higher, but preferably under 850. And we're looking in the West Shore now as well. We had been looking mostly in the core, but we've expanded this West Shore, and I think it's actually a preference at this point. That's one thing we're looking for. Going to probably be looking for some, condos, single family homes always. But I think that's the main one I'm going for right now in urgency.
I have a client looking for a townhouse. We're looking primarily in High Quadra or Royal Oak area, and we're looking up to probably $1 million at the most. And I've got them onto houses now with suites, so we're thinking about those. I have another client looking for a townhouse in the West Shore. We're looking for something more modern, and that's probably up to 1.1. I'm finding I did a mail out. Some people thought I was they're like, do you really have a buyer? Yes, I really have a buyer.
Yeah.
I'm writing to you out of desperation.
Yeah. No, there are agents that send those, and then there's agents who send those just to collect buyers, and there's agents who send those like ourselves when we have a desperate buyer. And we actually were door knocking in a complex recently. Just got a little bit of pushback because we didn't realize that was a no soliciting thing. But that's we had a client desperately wanting into a particular complex, and so my colleague went and knocked on doors and dropped off flyers and said, "We've got a buyer," and we do. Yeah,
but you can understand because some people get those fake letters.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah.
Let's see what I have here. I have a lot of lists. I have 10 listings right now. So I have one on Yates. It's a 1-bedroom, 1-bath condo at $497,500. I have an awesome little house up in Cobble Hill, which is part of Arbutus Ridge, and that one is $799.
Great.
2-bedroom, 2-bath. And on Glendoick, it's an amazing house. Oh my God, I can't believe it hasn't sold. It's 4 bedrooms, 3 baths, and it is a stunning home. It's got a very private backyard that's being well maintained. And then Gladstone, I have a 4 bedroom, 2 bath home, 2 up, 2 down. That's on a large lot. That's been on the market for a while, 1.199. We'll probably relist it. And then I have a townhome on Shelburne at 1.295, which is 3 bedroom, 3 bath, and it's was very well built. It includes thermal radiant floor heating. And what else? Oh yeah, the hot property for the week is my little teeny weeny house on Feltham. This one's on a 16,000 square foot lot, and the house is only 1,283 square feet, and it's a little rancher with a basement, and it's super cute. It's an old house, 1949, and it's got development potential.
Okay, awesome.
What do you have?
For listings, I've got a lot on Pender Island that I'd love to see someone come and look at. It's an enclave of really wonderful homes, many of them with views. This lot is a little over, I think it's 1.5 acres. It's got great views. It's a little obstructed by some trees, but you're looking down towards the water. You've got the marina down below. It's just off the ferry terminal there. 420,000 is the price point right now. I've got that condo on Johnston Street I mentioned for 450 with parking. Really clean unit. The Mondrian's a newer building. Really affordable place. We're under contract on the listing on Tyee Road. Got a little condo there. It's a nice little patio unit, but you never know if those will go together or not. So great little unit there. The Front Street property at 746 Front Street. That one is a wonderful home. Really nothing to do unless you feel like you need to put new windows in. They are double paned. There's no real need to replace them. Anyway.
They're double paned?
They're double paned. Yeah. It's built in 93. There's nothing you don't need to replace the windows. Yeah,
that's a really pretty home.
It's a super pretty home. Small lot, but it backs onto this big park behind. So if you've got kids, they just go out the gate and play and kick a ball around, and you're not paying or mowing lawns or anything like that. You're going to bring it up? Yeah, great.
Very nice little home.
Oh, it's just immaculate, and that fireplace is amazing. And there's hidden registers. It's got a central heating system, but the registers, how most places have those metal heat vents. This one has they're wooden heat vents that are just kind of stealth, you might say. Anyway, great place. We just reduced price. It was originally 1.3. We relisted just 2 days ago at 1.2. It's getting some good showings, but I would have expected this to fly out the door. It's built super designed. It's designed based on the Painted Ladies in San Francisco, which are the famous row of houses in San Fran. Really, really fun little house. And I'm blanking because I know I've got one more.
You'll only have 4 that I see. I'm not seeing you missing anything.
Okay, yeah, that might be it then. Yeah, Tyee, Front, McKinnon. Yep, got it.
Okay. Not that you. Anyway, it's good to see you doing well.
Thank you.
Okay, everybody, if you like the show, please like the show. Press that little button. Don't forget to subscribe and comment. We like to know what you guys think, and share. Share to your friends who are interested in buying or selling, please.
There's some wise wisdom in here and some nuggets of good stuff. And if there's something specific you're wanting to know about, please interact with us and talk to us, and we can get into the nitty gritty on whatever topics real estate you're interested in.
Yeah, next week we're going to be talking about probate with Nick from McBop.
Oh, good. Nick from McBop. Okay, good.
Okay, so don't forget, we are here on Thursdays at 9:30. Andrew, how do people get in touch with you?
Yeah, reach out. I'm at 250-360-6106, or email me, info@andrewplank.com. check out my Instagram at plankandrew, and the website andrewplank.com has lots of good resources as well. And
Awesome.
Jane?
And my name is Jane Johnston. I'm with the Briar Hill Group. You can reach me at 250-744-0775. My email is briarhillgroup@gmail.com. You can check out my website at briarhillgroup.com, and you can check out these videos and more at victoriarealestate.show.com. And I'm on Instagram and now on Threads, whatever the heck that is, at realtyteacher_remax_Victoria.
Excellent.
Okay, so we're going to see you next Thursday at 9:30, you guys. We're going to be talking about probate, and this is about getting your life's ducks in a row so that you can support your family after you pass. All right, we'll talk to you later.
See you later.
Bye,
everybody.